Good morning, folks. I want to welcome you here to our agriculture committee meeting. We'll have take the roll right now, I guess. Thank you.
Representative Banks,
Here.
Representative Davis, Representative Fornstrom,
Here.
Representative Johnson,
Use.
Representative Ottman. Here. Representative Provenza. Representative Schmid. Representative Strzok. Chairman Winter. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Well, looks like we're short a few people, but we'll try to, they'll probably show up a little later. So we'll just go ahead and get started here. I'm going to start with this decorum script, then I'll turn it over to Representative Banks. As we begin the meeting, I want to call your attention to the committee's rules of decorum. Copies of the decorum rules are located with the hard copies of the agenda and are available for review on the legislative website on the page of this meeting. We note these rules at the beginning of each meeting simply as a reminder that we expect everyone in attendance to be treated in a courteous and respectful manner. So I'll turn it over to Representative Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the only bill on our docket this morning is Senate File 16, subleasing of state lands exemptions. And because this was a committee bill, we don't really have a sponsor here to present the bill. So I can just kind of go over it. This was done real early on in the interim, if I remember. And it basically is allowing a leasee of a state land parcel to sublease that out for grazing to another livestock owner if they would wish to, and different rules and outlines that go into that. On page 3, you'll see some of those parameters it sets on there. Notice the presence of livestock not owned by the lessee shall be given to the board. Not more than 30 days after the arrival of those livestock. And then it talks about the rental amount. In addition to the annual rental amount, the lessee shall pay a monthly fee per head of non-owned livestock, which shall be established by the board, shall not exceed 50% of the annual animal unit month rental rate. And that's kind of the basis of the bill. They're just opening it up to allow subleasing on these state sections. So if anybody else who served on the interim committee wants to add anything I might have forgotten. And if not, we'll open it up to public testimony. I believe State Lands Office is here. If they want to come forward and talk about this one. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Stacia Berry, Office of State Lands and Investments. Pleased to be here today to answer any questions you might have about this bill. We were fortunate enough to work with both Farm Bureau and stock growers during the interim to try and find solutions that met needs for producers. As you mentioned, this addresses subleasing issues on state lands, and not only does it preserve your original right to or ability to sublease those parcels, but then also offers a different way for producers to do subleasing that's a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more straightforward with that non-owned livestock fee. And the only other portion I would mention is it also allows not to have to sublease if two entities that have greater than 80% ownership, so a ranch corp and a cattle corp that one family may have, that would not require a sublease. But happy to answer any questions that the committee might have.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Any questions for the Office of State Lands? Go ahead, Representative Fornstrom.
Yeah, thank you, Director. Chairman, just for my clarification, either from the committee that worked this or from you, was there a lot of discussion surrounding the 80%? I'm just curious, 5% lower and all of a sudden you're, in a whole nother territory of that 75 versus 80. We have one thing on our dockets. Thought I would ask, but, you know, it
Mr.
prevents the quarter ownership. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Fornstrom, good question. And I think I will defer mostly to Mr. Magagna because that percentage was suggested by industry in our conversations with them, and he may be able to give you the background on that percentage election.
Thank you. Further questions for State Lands? Representative Ottman?
Mr. Co-Chairman, and more of a statement since we have lots of time. I just wanted to thank you and your department for all of the work. We had a lot of streamlining of past legislation and statute. That was very nice to get that worked out. And then we also had some contentious things, and I just appreciate all your work on that.
Thank you.
Further questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate your
Thank you very much.
testimony. Further testimony. Mr. Magagna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, co-chairman, and members of the committee. As I think about this issue, sometimes I think I've spent most of my career working on it. And that's not true, but it feels that way because it's become such an issue in recent years. And it's become more of an issue for a number of reasons. One is go back 50, 60 years, typical ranch operation was a single entity. They own their cows, they didn't bring in other people's livestock. They were cow-calf operations. We've seen a lot of change in our industry in recent years, and part of it is more people that have gone from cow-calf operations to yearling operations, and they own some of those yearlings, but they bring in additional ones in order to appropriately utilize the resource they have available. So it's the law that was in place was currently a challenge. We worked on this closely with the legislature 2 years ago. Passed a very good bill out of the House, I felt, and then it got in the Senate and got directed a different direction. We ended up with this provision of 100% 2 years out of 10 and 50% the other two. And that made no real sense to any operation, didn't provide any stability. So we were really pleased to work closely with the current leadership of the Office of State Lands to devise something that we think can work virtually for everyone. We think this does so. One of the things I was receiving numerous calls from producers about is that when they had to follow the old original rule was, gee, I spend hours and even days trying to figure out what the amount is that I have to give 50% of to the state, because yes, I got $30 a head for running these animals, but I provided the supplements and I provided the water and the fencing and sometimes even the vet care. And so trying to figure out what the right number is that's defensible and fair to everybody was an impossible challenge. That's where we felt if we could get a reasonable flat fee, and the amount of that fee will be at the discretion of the Board of Land Commissioners when we're comfortable with that we can move forward in that manner. So we think this is a very solid way to go forward. With regard to the question raised by Representative Fornstrom, put a lot of thought into that, what made sense. What we've been experiencing under the current law was, I've got one good example right here in Laramie County where 97% of the two corporations were the same ownership, but previous leadership, the State Land Office said that's not enough. It's got to be 100%. So we were trying to look for something that's reasonable, and yet we didn't want to encourage a scenario where two very diverse organizations or entities, just because they had some common ownership, couldn't do it together. So there's nothing magical about the 80%, but it's comfort, a number that we felt comfortable with could work well for the industry and be fair and equitable to the beneficiaries of the trust as well. That, Mr. Chairman, I think it's all pretty straightforward, and we hope the bill can continue to move forward. I believe it was the first or second bill to be considered in the Senate this year, and that's a good sign. And you're right on the leadership part here as well. So we're pleased with that and be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions or stock growers? Representative, did that kind of answer your question? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Only two of you left. Anybody else want to come testify on this bill? Okay, seeing none. Is anybody on Zoom?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, with that, we will close public testimony. Committee, what's your pleasure? Moved by, I'm just gonna pick Representative Ottman, seconded by Representative, somebody say it, Dana Johnson. Discussion on the bill and or amendments. Seeing none, question having been called. If you'll call the roll on Senate File 16, please.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote on Senate File 16. Representative Banks,
Aye.
Representative Davis. Aye. Representative Forstrom,
Aye.
Representative Johnson,
Aye.
Representative Ottman,
Aye.
Representative Provenza, Representative Schmid,
Excused.
Representative Strack. Aye. Chairman Winter.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes, 2 excused.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good work, committee. It was a long grueling morning, but I think that's all we had. So we're adjourned.